Oh, hey, everybody. We are back again, and I think we're live on Facebook and YouTube and the Twitters. It's going to be a good day because we're here with a doctor, so we know we're all safe and secure. We are here with the Timbs family, pronounced Timbs, like the river, if you're wondering. So this family has an interesting story. They're kind of relying on Canvas to help them through their educational journey during this time of remote learning. So let's introduce this group of illustrious educators. First, I'm going to go, in my view, I don't know what you guys are looking at, but right down from me is my good friend Brighton. Brighton, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. Happy to be here. My name is Brighton Hertford. I am the Global Manager for Sales Enablement here at Instructure. It'll be my 5th year with the company in July, and I myself am a former educator, so happy to be here.
Thanks, Brighton. So next up, let's go over to the rock stars, the heroes of the show, whatever you want to call them. Let's start with you, Dr. Dave.
So David Timbs, I am a supervisor of secondary, mainly high school and instructional technology with Johnson City Schools in Tennessee. And we've been using Canvas 4 years and 1 month. And also a teach adjunct at the higher ed level at Milligan College, and we use Canvas there as well.
Awesome. Anne, let's go over to you.
All right, I'm Ann Timbs. I've been teaching 24 years, currently in 5th grade, and we use Canvas as well.
Sydnee.
Hi, I'm a junior at the University of Tennessee, English and elementary education, so keeping it in the family.
Nathan.
My name's Nathan Timbs. I'm a first-year PhD student at the University of Iowa studying political science, and I use Canvas in my own classes, and last semester I was a TA, so I got to use Canvas from the teaching aspect as well. So,
awesome. Well, we're super excited to have this family with us. We're hoping that over the next 30 minutes, again, as always, feel free to drop your comments in the chat pod, and we'll talk about them. But we wanted to give you a perspective of a full family, from K12 all the way up through grad school, educators, students, teachers, family of educators, if you will. And we wanted to talk to them about how Canvas has played an important role in their lives, really for all of them for quite a long time, but especially the past few weeks. David, let's start with you. Talk to us about what was the big change. Was it a big heavy adoption once the pandemic hit, or were you guys already set up for success?
Sure. So for 4 years in our district, we're a district of about 8,000 students. We've been training up every year a cadre of teacher leaders, technology teacher leaders, who assist other teachers in their buildings. And one of those big platforms that we ensured that they knew backwards and forwards was, of course, Canvas. We ran all of their professional development through Canvas. So as soon, we actually were starting spring break the first Monday of the closure. And as soon as it came down that in Tennessee we were going to be closing schools, we activated that network of teacher leaders. And throughout that week, we were able to really spin up our use of Canvas from the heavy users and the casual users and the non-users to at the high school level, every single class, except for just 1 or 2 as of this week, have active classes in Canvas, and we've seen our usage skyrocket. So what was really awesome is that we have gone from a platform that we had been using, and because we had been using it over the last 4 years in our district, this transition was much easier for our teachers and especially our students.
Talk us through. So David, you talked to me earlier a little bit about that usage. It was interesting to hear that both students and teachers have really bought in and are starting to use it pretty significantly.
Sure. 7 through 12 in our district, we're 1-to-1, 3 through 12 with devices, but 7 through 12 take them home. So Canvas is obviously used a great deal more there. So the usage, as we've watched, Zoom, this sort of environment that we're in right now has become very common to us because of distancing, and we had a lot of our teachers jump in with each other to help get each other up to speed on using Canvas and getting their classes published and getting content loaded if they didn't already have that. And I was looking at the usage report today, and we're a pretty heavy usage district at the high school level. Spring break, of course, bottomed out, and our usage since spring break, since COVID has come into play, is double what it was in the month before spring break. So that tells me from the teacher and the student aspect, what we're doing, it's working with remote learning.
Awesome. And let's go on to you. So you mentioned to me previously that this whole remote learning thing has been way more work than even what you were doing before. So walk through kind of your routine and what it is you're doing as a teacher in 5th grade, how you're using Canvas, how you're continually connecting with your students today.
So there are days I feel like I work harder now than I did when I was in the classroom every day. But when we left for spring break on March 13th, we didn't know that we wouldn't be coming back a week later. So we were gone and had no way of contacting our kids to tell them what to do. So, we sent out a message to our parents, tell your child to check Canvas for assignments. And that very day we saw them, we could look on Canvas and they were logging in and getting things done because we'd had this used in class every day this year. They knew exactly what to do. So they just had to get on their computer and do what they'd always done and find their assignments. So that was pretty seamless as far as that goes. But now it's just, instead of being in the classroom where I can talk to them one-on-one, it's getting back in there. And it's very easy to go in and check and see what they've turned in, what they've done, and respond back to them. So that's been great.
So looks like we've got Trent from New Zealand. Thanks for joining us, Trent. It's probably really early there. You might have to go back to sleep. But thanks for joining us nonetheless. And talk to us really briefly about how have the kids done with this change? They were already using Canvas before, which is good, but how have they shifted? Have you seen, how are you connecting with students in such a different environment?
Well, we do Zoom meetings with them each week just so we can see them and connect with them. But I've had several students message me through Canvas just to talk to me or tell me, hey, I got the postcard you sent me in the mail, and I can respond back to them. So that's been a great way to communicate with them when we can't see them every day.
Awesome. Okay, let's go on to Sydnee and Nathan, starting with Sydnee. Sydnee, how have things at the University of Tennessee changed? Has it been pretty similar to what you were doing before? Because I know you guys were heavy users of Canvas before the pandemic even hit.
Yeah, not that much has changed. All of my professors were constantly posting on Canvas before all of this happened. And I'd really say one of the biggest changes is just we have more discussion posts. That way we can still communicate with our classmates because the majority of my classes are English classes. And so those are based heavily on book discussion and stuff like that. And so it's good to have that part of it so we can still have that class discussion.
Awesome.
I have a question real quick.
Oh, go ahead, Ryan.
Sorry, or we can go with Nathan. I was just going to ask anyone in the room in the Timbs family, with the switch to being strictly remote, how do you find ways to not only ensure that you are either participating as a student or delivering the materials that you need to, but beyond that, a level of engagement? How are you finding that you're able to either engage with your other class members, mentioned discussions, or your students through Canvas?
I'll talk first, and I think we all maybe have used this platform. At the college level, at Milligan, of course, we had to make the switch as well immediately, and no one was allowed back on campus. And one of the integrations that I've always used in teaching, and it's spread like wildfire in our district, in Canvas, is that with Flipgrid. Flipgrid is an amazing tool in and of itself, but when you integrate it with Canvas and use that as part of your discussion piece, the video interaction of adult students, I'll speak from the adult perspective, has increased tenfold over what you might get in the discussion board piece. And for the pandemic time, I know that the adult students that I have in the doctoral program have enjoyed seeing and hearing one another just in this era of not being able to see and hear one another in person.
Yeah, I use that too. Each week I give them a topic on Flipgrid and I integrate it in Canvas. And I integrate all my assignments and everything through there, so they only have one place they have to go, and all of their assignments are linked through that. And they love doing the videos and responding to each other, and that's a great way for them to communicate.
Thanks.
Let's chat really, really quickly. I love that question, and I love the calling out of Flipgrid. I'd love to understand, both from a student and a teacher perspective, what are the things you have done with Canvas that make it easiest for your learners, or you that are the learners, to learn? What are the tips and tricks?
So I think one of the things that's been really beneficial for me is, like my sister said, the use of the online discussion posts. I think that's something that I've really missed, because I used to go into the office every day and talk to my friends about the readings. What do you think about this? So now I don't really have the opportunity to do that. So what one of my professors has done, we're required to post our thoughts on some of the readings before we actually have our Zoom class. So we're kind of using Canvas to facilitate that, just the casual office conversations we might have about readings before we actually get into the class. So that's been super helpful to be able to go on Canvas and read about my other classmates' thoughts before, since I'm not able to go in the office, and just have the casual conversations with them. So it's kind of been nice to have that aspect.
David, Ann, any thoughts from you on what is it that you're doing, maybe from a homepage standpoint in Canvas? Maybe it's from what you're doing with Flipgrid, it sounded like, Ann. What are you doing so that your students still feel some sense of consistency?
So at the high school, I can speak specifically about Scienceville High School. We break Canvas a lot. We will make it do things that it's not designed to do. So some of my favorite things are learning Canvas hacks. So we have a lot of classes that we've set up internally by grade level that we load the entire student body, or the entire grade level into. So for us, that's around 500 to 600 students per grade level. Our counselors have been using that in Overdrive to communicate with students for the social emotional piece. Counselors at other grade levels in elementary, intermediate, and middle school have had us set up classes for them. And we've imported the entire student body in for them to set up, even in Canvas, in collaborations, to be able to set up some small groups to actually use it in a way that I don't think Canvas was really designed to meet the social and emotional needs of a lot of our students. Our high school assistant principal has been sending out communications to the entire student body by using the global communication feature of Canvas to be able to shoot out those messages. That has been huge for us. It's been check your Canvas page, check your Canvas page, check your Canvas page. So not only do the students have their academic classes, they also have that social emotional support piece in our Canvas classes in our schoolrooms as well.
I love that. I think that's so important. Obviously, making sure that everybody is getting the content that they need to in order to move forward and progress in their studies, but also, like you said, that social emotional connection. I think right now I am a lady living alone, and I appreciate it too. And I can only imagine for people who, like you said yourself, Nathan, missing going into the office and having those conversations, and then for the students to continue to feel not only connected, but like you said, Mark, that consistency, because so much has changed.
Talk to me a little bit, Sydnee, about, she loves it when we call her out. She's thinking, why did I sign up for this? Talk to us about what teachers are doing at the University of Tennessee. What features within Canvas are they using to make the students still feel like they're part of a university?
I think the daily announcements and just the communication from professors is really great. Used to, they weren't, you would see them in class, and so they don't, they didn't share their thoughts and stuff. And so having them be able to share announcements in the announcement bar is really great. Just have that communication with them, being like, this is what I did, like, for fun to keep me sane right now. Like, what have you been doing? Still getting to hear from them on like a personal level too. It's great.
Love it. Nathan, what about you? Obviously, we're dealing with very different class sizes from what Sydnee's doing as a junior and what you're doing in your PhD program. What are they doing in Canvas today to make you still feel like you're part of something bigger than a Zoom meeting?
Yeah, it's a good question. So obviously at the PhD level, it's really important to have good connections with your professors. So I think we already had those great connections before, like the personal connections, but Canvas has really allowed us to keep that connection going, because I think without it, I would definitely be losing contact with a lot of my professors. Like my sister said, the announcements tabs, and even beyond that, just using Canvas, making sure we're okay. And we've been really good about, normally we were kind of just going with the syllabus, but now a lot of the professors are really being stringent about putting the assignments and due dates on there. So making sure that we know what's expected of us has been something that's really valuable during this time of uncertainty. So I think that by adding a lot more structure to our Canvas pages, they've really made our lives a lot easier. So.
How about video, using video in the classroom as a teacher, as an educator? We talked about, Zoom and the importance of having these big group discussions and things like that. Are you using and utilizing multimedia player, the recording function that we have within Canvas to kind of give feedback or have personal one-to-one conversations either with your professors or with other students?
I know that I do on my higher ed side. Every week when I post, usually on Saturday, I will do an overview video for the week and embed it in my class. I've got the homepage, and then each week of the class has its own page, and the very first thing they see is that overview video. And it's usually 10, 12, sometimes I get a little long-winded, and it may go as long as 20 minutes to give them an overview for the content for the week. That's a practice that I've always used in my Canvas courses, but it's become even more so important now to be able to, some weeks I'm posting 2 just simply because of the nature of changes that are going on.
Yeah, I did something a little different last week. I wanted to do something that I thought was kind of fun for my kids. We read a lot of books in my ELA class, and I could have just, uploaded an audio book or something for them to listen to, but they like to listen to me read because that's what I do in class. So I read a book to them on the video and just showed the PDF of the book so they could follow along on the screen. And so they listened along and answered questions and did some work with that as we went along. So they really enjoyed that.
I love that. Story time was always one of my favorites for sure. And what about y'all as students? Do you feel like through utilizing Canvas and not necessarily having as much of that face-to-face contact with your other peers, are you having connections with people maybe that you didn't normally have in the physical classroom that Canvas is facilitating now?
Sydney, do you want to answer that one? I mean, my class sizes are so small. I don't have a class with more than 10 people, so I really had but Canvas is really just allowing me to keep those connections and the virtual meetings that we're having. And like I said, we're all posting more of our thoughts online, which I don't think that we would have done without Canvas. So I think I'm actually, since we've moved online, I'm able to know what the other classmates think about the readings, when otherwise I might not have without this pandemic going on. So I think it's forcing us to write down our thoughts on a screen, which in the past we were just talking about them. So it's nice to have those to look back on moving forward. So I think that has been one beneficial aspect.
Yeah, I know this is shocking, but always one of the first people to raise my hand in class. I was one of those dominant students, kind of like a Hermione Granger of sorts, a little bit annoying. And so I think it's really awesome that through distance learning, everybody has the opportunity to speak up, so to speak, and to share one with another. I think that's a really cool perspective.
Here's a great question that just came in. And sorry, it looks like Nathan and Brighton cannot be seen on the screen anymore. I'm so sorry. We apologize. Let's start with you on this one because of your experience in being a Canvas admin and what you're doing at the district level. Yanina is asking a question. She's a parent of a special needs student in 6th grade, and wants to know, she's looking here at school only work with Canvas, giving assignments, but no Zoom or telehealth type meeting. What kind of things could she request? What kind of things could she ask to be able to get the help that she needs for her 6th grade special needs student?
In the beginning of that first week after the closure, we actually had spring break. We worked some 12 and 13-hour days as at the district administrator and the school administrators to look at what did we need to unlock. If you had told me 6 weeks ago we would be unlocking Zoom and unlocking Google Hangouts Meet or unlocking all of these video features that we've just never considered because it's K12, we've unlocked all that now. And I know with, an example, one of our counselors, elementary counselors, uses Instagram for parents to contact her through, and she's actually been able to have some Instagram video chats with a lot of parents. So what I would suggest that you ask them for is if they're not using Google Meet or they're not using Zoom or they're not using some type of video conferencing platform, that has been a game changer in our district, and I know in neighboring districts around us. So I would ask for that that piece to be put in. And I know with along those lines of our students who have additional needs, I can't say enough about how our ESL teachers, especially at the 7-12 level, and our RTI teachers, response to intervention teachers, are using Canvas. We've been creating new classes over the last 2 weeks to place more students into, just so they can serve those students in very unique ways. And it's been very heartening for me to see that we're taking it not just from the 4 academic classes, but we're really boiling it down to those small groups that we were providing services for during the regular school day. We're now providing that inside of Canvas because the teachers are saying create these small groups for me virtually.
To add to that, I would ask for what we mentioned earlier, just putting in assignments in Flipgrid, because it doesn't have to be a live conversation like this. You know, you can record your response or re-record it if you want to, and then other students can respond back to it, or you can respond to someone else's. And it's a sort of a non-threatening kind of way to have a conversation on video. So I really like that.
Love that.
That's awesome.
Thanks so much for the comments. Mary also came in. Looks like you're watching it from Wisconsin. We have done about 25 of these live streams now, and we did a couple last Friday, Mary, that you ought to check out, that were all about parent pointers. How do you set up your Observer account?
Exactly. Yeah.
So I would check those out. If there's any specific questions you have for the illustrious Timbs family, feel free to ask them. But I would check out those resources because they'll be super helpful.
And one more thing really quickly before you move on, Mark, I think it's a great place for new users and tenured users alike to join the community. We have a very robust community. I'm sure, David, I see you nodding your head. You visited that page a lot. There are multiple groups you can join. I know you're an avid user and a big advocate for us on there. You can join, different user groups, and also through the community.canvaslms.com. Just endless resources as an educator, as a parent, as a student, how to best utilize Canvas and really kind of like your shirt says, make Canvas work for you rather than working for Canvas.
So one of the things that has been exciting for me to watch is the uptick in the number of parents who are becoming observers. Mm-hmm. And that's often parents don't realize that they can actually become observers. And I've had teachers reach out to me and say, hey, these people are showing up in my class and it says they're observing. I said, that's some parents who are logging in. And they just, it's been great with remote learning and a lot of the challenges that come with having your kids at home, to be able to do that login behind them and see exactly what it is that they're working on. That's been great for us.
And David, maybe talk for a second, and Ann, I'm sure you see this a lot as well. What are some of the benefits of when you have a parent who gets involved through like a Canvas Instant as an observer? What are you seeing? How does that help the student in the long run?
Our district, from the get-go, our tech department has been running a live help desk every day, technology help desk, from 10 o'clock until 2 o'clock. And a lot of the calls early on that they were getting were about Canvas. My son says he can't get logged in. And, a lot of that is, I just don't want to get logged in because I don't want to. So that piece of parents becoming engaged and actually seeing that, the teachers are putting some content in here. There are some assignments that you need to do. That has been powerful. It's been powerful.
Awesome. This is a tough situation, but everybody's dealing with it, so let's bring it up. And Cherry, I don't know how to say your name, but thanks so much for joining us. Thanks for the great comment. I'd love to hear you guys' thoughts. I mean, online bullying has become a huge issue. And in this day of remote learning, where we are very focused on screens and still connecting from afar, how are you guys, David, dealing with the possibility of some kind of increase in bullying because of these platforms you're having to use?
That first week, we actually created an entirely new website. Our teacher leaders really spent a lot of hours on it, and we have a phenomenal instructional design coach who put this piece together. And one of the pieces of this new site that we put together is parent and teacher-facing online tips. Very early on, 3 days in, we realized we need to give our students etiquette on being on a Zoom, etiquette on discussion boards. And we've really tried to push that. We have a great partnership with our local media as well, and making sure that in their Zoom calls, that teachers, and Anne probably speak to this, are really talking with their kids about how you act in this new environment. So we're taking that very seriously. I know most definitely that's something that our counselors have also addressed, and they're doing a lot of live Canvas or live Facebook chats where they're talking about some of these very things that she brought up.
Yeah, and when my students get to my Canvas page, they see it right there at the top. I will see everything that you record or everything that you type. So it's just a reminder to them that I am monitoring everything that they do.
Awesome. Carrie is how we pronounce her name. So sorry, Carrie. Excellent question. Thanks for bringing that up. Let's jump in really quick, and I'm going to start with Nathan.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna see how tough he is on his toes. Nathan, what is the #1 feature that your teachers use in Canvas today that helps you with remote learning?
So I would say it is the modules feature. I really enjoy that, just being able to go click on, okay, this is the module for week 9. And because I think during this time, the most important thing of keeping me on track is structure. Because I think, like, working from home, as we all probably know, we have a lot more free time. So just being able to look at my assignments, what do I have to do this week? And all my professors are really good at putting all the readings in the modules, all the assignments, and dating them. So I just think having the modules feature in Canvas and knowing what I have to do for that week has been invaluable for me during this time. So.
Sydnee, on to you. #1 feature that your teachers are using or you wish they would use.
For me, my favorite feature so far is the calendar. Just with professors now that we're online, they're actually putting all the assignments in with due dates and everything and not adding them, throughout the semester. And so having that calendar, I can go and click and just see everything for all my classes or just an individual class there in one place has been really great. And it marks it off too.
Nice.
Which is great.
We'll move on to you.
Yes.
Since Mark might have had a child interrupt.
Yeah, that happens.
Oh.
I use
There we go.
I use but that I have my class set up in modules that we've been, each for each unit. And so I have a new module in there called Until We Meet Again. So hopefully I'll get to see my kids again, but if not, we'll just do it virtual.
I think the most exciting thing for me, I popped into a few of them as Canvas admin. I can sort of skip around in and out of classes quite a bit. And one of the biggest challenges that we've had this spring at the high school level, I'll be quick, is what are we going to do with our advanced placement students? Because College Board has totally reinvented. They're going to be testing at home for the first time ever. And our advanced placement teachers at our high school have gone above and beyond with making sure that they're continuing to get that really rich, rigorous content out there to prepare those students for that AP exam. Our engagement rate in the AP classes has been in the upper 90s, close to 100% since the closure.
Amazing.
Yeah, and I just noticed we had a comment about SpeedGrader. As a TA for 90 students last semester, that was an invaluable tool for me, grading 2 or 3 assignments for 90 students every week, and having SpeedGrader and the built-in plagiarism tool, that was awesome.
We love the SpeedGrader.
Yeah. SpeedGrader is amazing, and I love the video capabilities that are in there. We were talking a little bit about the one-to-one discussion piece between teacher and pupil, and I think SpeedGrader does that so well.
Absolutely.
So, David, let's do a quick wrap up. If you guys see my cute little guy who's here enjoying the live stream as well. I'm so into SpeedGrader, I don't even know where to start the discussion. But David, maybe give us a quick wrap up. You know, we've talked about a lot of things from how do we deal with online bullying? How do we deal with, you know, how helpful is something like a speed grade or discussions? What are the key things you think we ought to call out to any educators or parents or students who are watching today?
I think that the big thing I would think about with Canvas and what we've been able to do is it's given us structure, and it's a familiar structure. Yes, some teachers and some students have had to, there's been a steeper learning curve if they weren't using it, but it's given us a familiar structure, which in this time of uncertainty has been great.
Brighton, closing thoughts for us.
I'm just really grateful to work for a company that is providing people stability and structure in a time of uncertainty, as well as connection, like we talked about. I have to be careful because I'm a little bit of a feeler, so I can tend to get a little emotional. But I'm really grateful to the Timbs family as well for joining us and for sharing from a very personal experience how Canvas has worked for you and how it's helping you stay connected to your students and to your teachers and fellow peers. So honestly, just an overwhelming sense of gratitude.
Thank you all.
Yep.
Thank you.
Big thanks to the Timbs family. Thanks everybody for joining us. We've had quite the crowd from all over in New Zealand. It is about 10:40, almost 11 o'clock there. So math is hard for anybody joining us. Sorry, Mark Booth is not good at math. But thanks for joining us. We do these almost every day, teaching you how to use Canvas in the simplest, easiest of ways. Good luck to the Timbs family. As you can probably tell, they're going on to rule the world, and I would take that any day of the week coming from these kinds of people. So thanks, everybody. Have a great one.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.